How is everybody this evening? I hope everybody's doing good. We are just a little wore out from our trip down south. We did it all in 2 days, went to our doctors, and everything came out perfect. We are healthy
I don't have
for
you
the
on.
most part.
You know it?
Huh?
I don't have you on.
Well, I'm live. It'll be there. It's delayed a little bit, maybe. I apologize. I accidentally put down 7:30 on our pre-time, and I had to go back and change it when I was setting up for the live stream earlier today. So I probably messed over some people when they set their alarms, but I apologize for that. It was an error on my part, totally.
You ain't gonna blame that on me.
No, I'm not going to blame that on my wife. I've got me a new cushion on my chair, and it's kind of hard to get used to it today. We got some happy news, but we got some sad news. The happy news is Holly Courtier was found in Zion Park alive. Don't know any of the details other than the searchers had a reliable report that someone had seen her in the park, and they investigated it and found her. So obviously she was not, I don't know what her deal was, and maybe we'll find out later if she got lost or maybe she wanted to be lost. I don't know. But she was found, and she's back with her family, alive and good. Have you found us yet?
Me?
Yeah.
I can't. I lost the. There it is. I lost the chat.
All right. And then, of course, the Stephanie Hollingsworth, I don't know if the coroner has verified it 100% that it's her, but it was her car, and a female was found, a deceased female was found inside. And for all practical purposes, I believe they know that it is her that was found inside, deceased. Now, I don't know if they think it's foul play or possibly that she committed suicide, or maybe if it was an accident. I'm sure they're not sure what it was. Have you figured out what you're doing yet?
I've messed up. The chat, I can't read what they're saying. It's down in the bottom. So I'm going to go completely out and try to come back in.
While she's trying to figure that out, I do want to mention a couple of other cases before we get into the case that we're going to talk about pretty in detail tonight, and show you a couple of things. One, this lady is missing from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Not much information on how she's missing, other than the fact that she was last seen on Microwave Road in Coker, which is outside of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And for whatever reason, everything I've read on this think that she's in the area. So maybe that she's missing on her own accord. And like we said before, there's nothing illegal about going missing yourself and, just disappearing. If you fake it as you've been abducted or that somebody's got you, then, of course, then the police can do something about that because you're wasting a bunch of assets. But just going missing is not against the law. Also, this girl here, she is, I can't pronounce her name, but you can read it for yourself, Eggleston. She was pregnant and she is missing, and the father of the child supposedly is an uncle, they believe, and may be involved in her disappearance. I'm going to play you a video on this before we get into it, but I think it's needed to find, if we can find her, or have maybe somebody has some information about her up there in Maryland, that'd be great to pass it on to police. I'm going to play this. I believe this is the right one.
More breaking news, this time from the state attorney's office. The uncle of missing high school student Ayana Sawyer is now a suspect in both her pregnancy and her disappearance. It has been 44 days since the 16-year-old girl was last seen on surveillance video leaving her school, Terry Parker High.
Searchers were back out today at a landfill near Baldwin, combing through a mountain of trash, hoping to find evidence in her disappearance. This is Sky 4 video of the search. Sawyer's uncle, 33-year-old Jonathan Quayles, was arrested earlier this month, you remember, on that unrelated sexual battery charge. Well, now prosecutors say they have learned that Quayles admitted to an inmate that he's the father of Sawyer's unborn child. News4Jax reporter Destiny McKeever joining us from the Otis Road landfill, where police started their search there 2 weeks ago. Destiny?
Joy, and investigators have been here all throughout the day today searching this landfill. And we did speak to the Sawyer family attorney today, and he says right now the family is asking for peace and prayers. It's been 6 weeks since Ayana Sawyer, a missing Jacksonville teen, vanished. Sawyer was 5 months pregnant at the time of her disappearance. For the past 16 days, JSO has been searching the Otis Road landfill. This is Sky 4 video of today's search. In the past, we've seen canines brought in to assist in the search for clues in the disappearance. New information from the state attorney's office reveals Sawyer's uncle, Jonathan Quayles, is considered a suspect in both the pregnancy and disappearance of Sawyer. Prosecutors in Sawyer's case revealed that information during a hearing for Jonathan Quayles Thursday. Quayles is in jail on separate sexual battery charges unrelated to the case. Prosecutors say he allegedly admitted to an inmate that he's the father of Ayana's unborn child. The Sawyer family attorney said in a statement, "We condemn this rape in the strongest possible terms and ask the prosecutors and law enforcement to thoroughly investigate and prosecute Jonathan Quayles. We are communicating directly with the sheriff about the case. The family is still praying and holding out hope Ayana is found alive. We've tried to reach out to Sawyer's family, and they have offered no comment at this time. The family has stated in the past the teen seemed excited about her baby, and they felt it was out of character for Sawyer not to contact her mother." And the family's attorney did also say that the family is not ready to make a statement because Ayana's brother and sister are taking this very hard. Of course, as we continue to get new updates, we will keep you informed. Reporting live, I'm Destiny McKeever, Channel 4, the local station.
2018.
This actually happened 2017.
Well, I thought it was 18.
No, but you know, the family's just distraught, you know, and we can pray that they have closure. I mean, it's pretty much, you know, if he was a father, he probably ended up killed her because of the incest type laws up there. But
breaking news, this
very, very sad situation at the very least. You got the mother and you have now a baby. You know, the baby actually was murdered also, if it is that a murder, which it sounds like it's going to be. If they're searching the landfill, they probably have a pretty good reason to believe it is. Okay, we're going to discuss two cases, and there's a link in this case that makes me think that possibility that they're connected, and it's just, to me, it's too close. It's the same state, it's the same manner that their vehicles are found, you know, and it may be totally two separate cases, but it's enough that we need to look at them. So the first one we're going to look at is Mora Murray, and that's Maura Murray. And these are old cases. These are old cold cases, what they call. They disappeared in 2004. Both of them did. One of them, they were in New Hampshire area, missing for 16 years. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the reasons why. There's this girl obviously She was a nursing student, but she obviously had a troubled, her mind was troubled because she had gotten in trouble for passing, she used a stolen credit card to charge up some food at college. She got arrested, and she wasn't charged because it was under $250. She got into a wreck, I think either DUI or she wrecked her father's car once, and that she wasn't charged, but she did about, several $1,000s worth of damage. And then she was, the way she left and disappeared, I'm going to play a video on it, but basically what happened was she was going to school down at a college there in New Hampshire, and she left, didn't tell anybody why she left, and she went up into a direction. She told the professors that she had a death in the family, wrote them an email, which was totally untrue, no death in the family, and she looked up online a lot of hotel or Airbnb and hotel ski resort stuff. She went to her bank ATM, drew out all the money she had in there, which was about $240-something. It was just around the time cell phones were just now getting out, so she had talked to her boyfriend or texted her boyfriend, and then she also packed up all her belongings at her apartment and left a note on top of them, talked to her boyfriend, saying how he did her wrong and cheated on her. So I don't know, but her intentions on the drive, we don't know what her intentions were, but she wrecked her car on an abandoned, at a snowbank, because there was snow in there. She wrecked her car, and a bus driver, a bus pulled up beside her and asked her if she needed help. She said no. He said, well, I'll call the police. And she said, no, please don't call the police. I've called AAA, and didn't want to go with him, supposedly. And he went to the house and called the police anyway, and he lived just short distance from there. And there was 19 minutes before the police got there and found her car, but nobody there. She disappeared completely and has not been seen since. But I'm going to play this video because there's a lot of theories on this. But, I forgot one. I do want to play this also. You remember the girl that, the Amish girl that went missing? Are y'all aware of that? There was an Amish girl that went missing in Pennsylvania, and they couldn't find her anywhere. They did tons of searches up in that area where they found out she's abducted in broad daylight. And they've arrested the guy for abducting her, but they can't find her. So I want to let you play this, and it's got some pretty good information if you know anybody up in that area.
It has been 3 months since 18-year-old Linda Stoltzfoos went missing. Thanks for staying with us tonight. I'm Rachel Yankunis. The latest update in her case came last week. Documents show her alleged kidnapper texted his brother 15 times over a 2-hour period around the time Stoltzfoos disappeared. We take a look at the investigation and what we know so far. This picture of 18-year-old Linda Stoltzfoos posted all over Lancaster County. On June 21st, the Amish woman was last seen leaving a church service just before 1 p.m. along Stumptown Road in East Lampeter Township. She never returned home. Search efforts began the next day, and the FBI later released this composite of what Stoltzfoos might look like in street clothes. 3 weeks of searching, and finally a break in the case. On July 10th, police arrest Gusto Smoker for kidnapping. Investigators say surveillance video shows Smoker getting out of his car and abducting Stoltzfoos in broad daylight along Beachdale Road. Photos reportedly show his red Kia sedan parked near a wooded area in Bronx 2 days after the abduction. It's here police say they found Linda's clothing buried. Search efforts continue, but Linda is nowhere to be found. On September 17th, unsealed court documents show Smoker sent a number of text messages to his brother around the time Stoltzfoos went missing. Investigators are hoping his cell phone records will piece together a clear picture of the moments leading up to and after Linda's disappearance. Police also searched for evidence in Smoker's car, home, and a storage unit he rented in Paradise Township. Linda still has not been found. The Lancaster County District Attorney's Office said it could not provide any new updates other than the investigation remains active and ongoing. Smoker is being held without bail. He has a status conference scheduled for this Thursday.
You know how the police at first kind of dropped the ball on this thing because they thought it was just her leaving, you know, that she escaped that Amish lifestyle. And, you know, I can't think of the word they use, but in their culture, they actually let the kids go live in the world, in the outside world, outside the Amish world for a year or several months, 6 months, a year. I think it's a year. Mm-hmm. And I cannot think of the name of the word they call it, but they live the free life. They live the life of like we do. They're allowed to drink and smoke and they hope they won't do that, but they accept the fact that they may do it. And then they go out and do this. And then the ones that return home pretty much swear to a life of the Amish, of no electricity and no running water and farming and raising, you know, just living that lifestyle. And then the others that they can actually leave the lifestyle. But it's a rite of passage. So a lot of the police thought that's what's going on here. But the father said, no. We, you know, when that happens, we prepare them for that. We allow them to do it. It's not, we don't stop them from doing it. So, and then they saw video. They were lucky. They had video that actually captured this guy abducting her. And sadly, she's probably going to be murdered. But hopefully they can get the phone and get the text messages and find out exactly what happened to her and where she's at. Okay, well, now we want to play that video in regards to this girl and the first one, and then we'll discuss the other one too. Let me see. This is I had to break it down into 4 parts to it, and we'll talk about after each part if there's needs to be something said, and see what you think about it.
Well, this coming Sunday will mark 10 years since anyone has seen or heard anything from a woman named Mora Murray.
Now, the college student crashed her car on Route 112 in North Haverhill, 140 miles north of the UMass Amherst campus that she had left just a few hours earlier. Mara had vanished when police arrived. There was what appeared to be wine and a soda bottle in her car and other indications that she may have been running away. But her father and investigators think there is much more to her disappearance. Heather Hamill revisits the mystery.
It's like it was yesterday to me, and it always will be, I guess, until I find out what exactly happened. And blink of an eye, gone.
10 years and no answers. Fred Murray will never forget the night he got life-changing news. His 21-year-old daughter, Maura, had crashed her car in North Haverhill, but she wasn't at the crash scene. The mystery of what happened to her has plagued Fred ever since.
My initial thought is still what I think, and that's somebody locally grabbed her, knows the area, knows where to go, how to get in someplace and out of someplace and without being seen.
A decade later, Fred still makes regular trips to the area on Route 112 where Maura was last seen.
I go up when there's something to look for, or when I have an idea, or when I've heard something, or when there's somebody to talk to.
A worn blue ribbon wraps the tree that Maura's car hit. The family planned to put a new one up this week. The constant media attention has stopped. The searches have ended, but those who were living in town in the winter of 2004 still remember.
There was no tracks.
Yeah, now we'll go to the next one. You see that some people are saying in comments, and let me thank you first. Who said Rumspring? That's exactly, I think it was somebody there said Rumspring's what it was that the Amish did. But you're exactly correct if I pronounce that right. Some people think, well, she got in trouble for drinking before when she thought she was a suspect drinking before, so maybe she was drinking again because she did buy alcohol. She bought $40 worth of alcohol. So she might have been drinking again as she was driving and wrecked, and that's why she never wanted to call police. So, but we don't know. We don't know what it is. But it's kind of, and a lot of people suspect this bus driver. What's happened to my feed there? It's like I'm in slow motion. You see it?
Nope.
I'm in slow motion.
Or anything in the woods or anything like that in the snow, so she had to have stayed on the road.
I never had that feeling that it was a local person. I always felt as though she was in the wrong place at the wrong time and somebody came along.
Many others feel Mora Murray is still out there, alive and well, having orchestrated her own disappearance. Search the internet and you'll find a number of blogs about Mora filled with theories and speculation.
Our office and the state police do receive some information from people. Unfortunately, none of that has turned out to be fruitful. We haven't received any credible sightings of Mora since the night she disappeared.
That night was February 9th, 2004. Police got 2 calls from 2 residents reporting a car off the road, the first at 7:27. A local bus driver later told investigators he saw a woman standing outside the black Saturn. An officer arrived at 7:46, finding the car locked and nobody around. The mystery goes beyond those 19 minutes. Nobody is exactly sure why the UMass Amherst nursing student left college and was traveling north in the first place.
I don't know why she went. I don't know the combination of circumstances and events. I may never know. I probably won't.
What we do know is that Fred Murray was in Amherst, Massachusetts, visiting his daughter 2 days before she vanished. She borrowed his car to go to a party and struck a guardrail. No tickets were issued, but there was $8,000 in damage to the car. 3 months earlier, Mora was arrested for using a stolen credit card number for fast food orders. That charge was dismissed as long as she kept good behavior. Her father says he doesn't believe speculation that either incident had anything to do with her disappearance.
Well, see, I froze. My screen's froze. If you can hear me, I don't understand what's going on with my screen right now, but it is frozen.
Okay, well, click out and click
I can't.
back in.
If I do that, it won't do it. There. No. If you can hear me or if you can see this, what's going on, if you could tell my wife in the comments. I don't know what the problem is with it. I'm going to go ahead and play the next round. Hopefully it will unfreeze it.
We can hear you.
Okay.
The day before she left campus, Mora searched directions to Burlington, Vermont, which were found in the car. On February 9th, she sent an email to teachers saying that there had been a death in the family and she'd be away. Mora packed her car, withdrew money, and bought alcohol, including a box of wine that was found in the wrecked car. She made a call to Stowe, but never made reservations. She also called for information on a condominium in Bartlett where she had stayed with her family. Fred thinks that's why she was on Route 112.
It's a road to Bartlett where I'm sure she was going, because she knows it like her backyard. Because we were in New Hampshire so much, at least 4 times a year. She was up there every year of her life.
Fred has been publicly critical of the investigation, taking the state to court for access to Mora's case file. To this day, most of the documents remain sealed.
I've been asking for the FBI for 10 years to enter the case. I am still asking today, right now, as I sit here. I'm asking for the FBI to enter the case. It's the only way this case will be solved.
The case has been investigated by the Attorney General's Office and the New Hampshire State Police, and there hasn't been a need to bring in another agency full-time, although the FBI has lended assistance in the past.
That night, police cleared the scene 1 hour and 40 minutes after arriving. Fred thinks they waited too long for a full search, something some neighbors agree with.
There was no one looking for her along the roadway during the daylight hours for several days. I never saw anyone come down this way, not ever.
I want to know what happened in the first 36 hours. I want to know what their guy did, what the state police officer at the scene did.
So many questions unanswered. Most of all, Fred.
See, I don't know why I'm frozen up again. My screen is. I'm probably going to have to change software from this. I apologize for this tonight. I see it's running up. I don't know why it's doing that or what the problem is. I'm going to go ahead and play the last of this. At least you get to see this.
So many questions unanswered. Most of all, Fred says he wants his daughter back.
I think that if Mara were alive, she'd have called me. And if not me, one of her sisters, or maybe one of her really good friends. I think she should have called me. I want to know what happened to my daughter. I want to know who did it. That's what I want.
The Attorney General's office says not all adult missing persons cases are concerning, but given the circumstances, this is very concerning. And that's why there's been an ongoing criminal investigation. They say while it's possible that Mora Murray is still out there somewhere, it's not very likely. In the studio, Heather Hamill, WMUR News 9.
Okay, it's my voice, my picture is froze up. I don't know what the problem is with this. I apologize. I hope that you can hear this, at least hear what's going on. 19 minutes was all that they were missing for. I mean, just 19 minutes before the police were called and got there. 19 minutes. So obviously, the bus driver asked her, you know, do you want me to go with me? I just live right over there. He was the last one that we know of that saw her alive. They have ruled him out as a suspect. I don't know what all they did, if they polygraphed him or what happened, but he did go straight down to his home and talked. His wife was there, and they called the police. So maybe, I don't know what they did, and I apologize. This is very disgruntling. I'm going to have to change softwares. Probably if they don't solve this problem. I don't know why it's like this. But do you have any questions, even though that you can't see me talking here? Do you have any questions that I can answer verbally? I can answer. Do they?
I keep seeing you go. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, I mean, I can't even. I'm frozen on my screen. I can't see anything.
Yes, they're hearing you just fine.
I don't know why the screen has froze up. You know, that's my issue.
Somebody said we're having solar storms. Felicia said we got solar storms.
That may be
That may be it.
It may be it. That something's going on with the internet. The next person, though, that you will see that's related to this, why I think it is because they also wrecked their car and disappeared. A little bit different circumstances, but it's not that far away from each other. And they tried to tie it to this case, but they said they can't link it. I don't know.
Lux asked, do you think Stephanie Hollingsworth took her own life?
I think it's a possibility that she got intoxicated and accidentally went into the water. To purposely go and drown yourself goes against everything that you can do. She might have got real disgruntled, accidentally went in, because once you start drowning and you go, if they say drowning is not just simply sucking in water up to your lungs, I mean, it's not a very pleasant experience.
Beauty from Ashes says, has Thomas heard anything on the Leah Cavett case?
I have not. I have not heard anything other than FBI searched the dump down there and did not find anything. Now, I don't know if they closed that operation down there or not, and I'll be honest with you, I did not check this past weekend, but I will tonight. I'm going to go ahead and play
Two
this.
questions real quick.
Okay.
C. Mills said you could said you can call the cable company and they'll add more. I don't know what he's talking about, but you do. And then
yeah, to add
how
more.
far apart were the cases and distance?
The distance I'm thinking is like 125 miles, and they're a couple of months apart. That one was in, let me see, that was February the 9th, 2004, and this one was March the 19th, 2004.
Was it snowing when she wrecked her car? Mora?
Well, they had snowbanks. Yeah, she wrecked it in the snow. She ran into a snowbank, and it was iced. It was iced over. Now, just watch this. I hope this catches up where you can see what this is about. We'll discuss these two together in a minute.
15 years ago, a 17-year-old went missing from her hometown. The disappearance of Brianna Maitland has haunted her family, police, and the Montgomery community ever since. NBC5's Tom Garris is live at the police barracks in St. Albans. And Tom, it's been a long time, but those searching for Brianna are not giving up hope.
No, Stephanie, they're absolutely not, even though Brianna Maitland would have been 32 years old today. This is one of the most well-known cold cases in Vermont, and all these years later, police and her loved ones are still searching for answers.
There's Brianna there again.
Bruce Maitland sifting through family photo albums.
She was a character, witty and generally very happy.
He's told this story over and over.
It's a lot of sadness.
But he's hoping that by keeping the story of his daughter Brianna's disappearance alive, they can find her.
In some ways, it seems like it just happened, and some days it's like it's been a long time. Yeah.
It's been 15 years since Brianna Maitland drove home from work at the Black Lantern Inn in Montgomery. Her car only made it about a mile down the road. She hasn't been seen since. Brianna's 1985 Oldsmobile was found the next night, backed into an abandoned building that has since burned down. Inside, paychecks and other personal belongings.
The evidence of things you take when you're planning to go somewhere are all here.
But the police didn't consider it a crime scene right away.
So it's kind of like the perfect storm.
Brian Miller is a retired VSP lieutenant.
The plunder said she hit her head.
Okay, now I know you can't see me because this, I don't know why, and I apologize again for it. I hate this like this. 96 miles between the two. She was in Vermont. The other girl was in New Hampshire, and she went to college in Massachusetts. I apologize for getting all that messed up. But 96 miles between from one place to the next, the disappearance. So you can see they're kind of like in this little area right here. And I've got some pictures of the car if this thing is going to let me show it. This is the car. It was backed into this building. It's since burnt down. And this is the back end of the car. You know, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm live, maybe I'm not. Maybe it got straightened out right now. But the car definitely either was backed into this thing to make it look like an accident, or either was involved in an accident. But you can see in the first picture here, there's snow on the ground right there. I don't know what the road looks like, okay? This is the reward picture of her. It tells a little bit about it, $20,000 reward. And we're going to finish out this video here. Hopefully it's going to halfway be acting straight again. Let's go to number 2 on here.
He took charge of the case about a year later, and he says a number of factors led to Brianna not being reported as missing until a few days later. The 17-year-old not living at home, her roommate out of town, her next work shift not for several days, and her car not registered in her name.
We lost 3 days of the most critical 3 days. We just lost those.
You can split your group up and work, start one half of them here.
A couple of us better go up that road.
The next few weeks, months, and years brought searches upon searches by both police and hundreds of volunteers.
Anything we find unusual, we mark it to have the state police check it out.
Has anybody checked over here? Oh, yeah.
So you can do search and hope that, pray for the better, hope to find her.
Hi.
Could you help us find our daughter?
Brianna's parents tirelessly spread the word, even canvassing at a mall 2 months after their daughter's disappearance.
My kid, I'm not going to stop.
In 2006,
it did look like it could be her to us.
Video from a casino in Atlantic City showed a woman that looked like Brianna. That woman was never located and questioned.
What are you going through?
National news networks picked up the story.
You are convinced that something terrible happened?
Instantly, yes.
Still no Brianna.
Now it was kind of just looking at, okay, what can we do next to keep this case going?
It's about bringing Brianna home to that family. I mean, it's 15 years, you know?
Todd Baxter is the head of VSP's Major Crimes Unit. He says they still have a detective on the case full time, and they get new tips a few times a month.
You know, I'm not back again. It's froze again. Oh, it's aggravating. But, you know, at least they are getting out and trying to keep the case active, you know, and that's something we do not see in the Morphew case. Just want to throw that in. Also, somebody said on the Holly Quarter case that she did hit her head on a tree or something and got disoriented, and that was why she was lost for 3 or 4 days. Probably had a concussion. So at least she's not dead. She was found safe. Okay, let's go to number 3. Maybe
it's about bringing Brianna home to that family. I mean, it's 15 years, you know?
Todd Baxter is the head of VSP's Major Crimes Unit. He says they still have a detective on the case full time, and they get new tips a few times a month.
Trust me, in the time that we've had this for a couple of years now, there's been something new.
He says the key to cracking cases like this is consistency, having one detective that's an expert that's able to vet new information as it comes in.
Here's the bottom line. She didn't do this to herself, so somebody knows.
He says somebody speaking up is the way that this case will most likely be closed.
A closure for me is finding Brianna.
And Bruce Maitland will continue telling his daughter's story until he can find an end.
And the other part of closure was find out who's responsible and see that they come to justice.
All right, NBC5's Tom Garris back with us live in Montgomery. And Tom, Bruce Maitland is still proactive in his daughter's case. He's now working to help others in his situation. Tell us a little bit about that. What's he doing?
Yeah, well, Stephanie, Bruce Maitland will tell you how expensive a private investigator can be. He's had a number of them over the years working on his daughter's case, and he's seen people that are in his situation struggle to afford them. So now he started a nonprofit called Private Investigations for the Missing. He says they make a difference for families that have missing loved ones.
And I'm going to go ahead and finish this out.
Through my own experience, I found out that private investigators are really good at gathering information that people may not necessarily tell the police. So they're atrociously expensive. So we're trying to make this available to families that can't afford it.
And Stephanie, Bruce says that he's seen a lot of families that are in these situations that are searching for justice, and he's doing just that, and that he will continue to do that for the rest of his days. We're live in St. Albans. Tom Garris, NBC5 News.
What a...
And I apologize again for this. This is crazy.
Stop apologizing.
I know I can't help it, but it's, you know, unfortunately, after every video, they ask me how the video went. And if I criticize the video in any way, like I have at times, then they will send me a message to Mora and say, hey, how can we make this better? Well, you can make it better by having your screen not freeze up. But I switched from this software from another software, and I'll probably go back to that. I didn't have any problem like that before, but it was kind of in the infancy of it. They didn't have as many things as this one does, but I don't know. I tell you, it's just aggravating. Does anybody have a question or comment about this that I can answer without, you know, because apparently it's froze up on my end again.
They can hear you, so.
If Era, I am back there now. I don't know, man. That's just strange. Do y'all have any
They're all
questions?
saying, stop stressing. They're here with
Okay,
you. They're
okay.
listening to you. So
Well,
just pretend like cut your screen off and don't look at yourself.
I appreciate it. I'm back with you, it appears so now. Does Barry have a wood chipper? You know, I've heard that a bunch of people have said that to me. They believe that that's it. And I'm going to tell you, that would be a disastrous thing for him to do. If somebody, Laura, just say somebody uses that to dispose of a body. It's disastrous. Do you imagine how much DNA that is left by one of these things? It would be a gold mine for the police.
Yes.
You know, once you put something in there, there's so many spots in that thing could get, you know, it'd be a gold mine. I just don't think that. I think he would be a complete idiot if he did that.
Okay, so Patricia Drummond asked, has anyone been found after 10 years? Think about those the three women in Cleveland.
Yeah, what was it? The ones that were kept outside their house in tents or in small rooms, and one of them had a baby. Several babies. So yes.
And but the women that were kept in the basement in Cleveland, remember?
Yeah, they've been several that have been found.
And then you've got
kept in cages for like 20 or 10, 15 years.
Who was it that was taken up into the woods? And the famous young lady, she was taken up there from her home. Her sister saw the bad guy take her.
Oh, but that was
Smart.
No. Yeah, Smart was, but you're thinking about Holly Bobo.
No, I was thinking about Smart.
Okay,
I don't know.
Holly Bobo was taken from her house, and she was murdered fairly quick. The way I understand, they ended up arresting that guy.
Have y'all heard that song? I'll see if I can't find who. The one that sang, "I will rescue you. You're not alone."
Yeah. I wonder, you know, there's been a lot of people that have been kept captive by sick individuals, like you remember it was somewhere, I think Wisconsin, where the girl was taken, kidnapped, and he took her and he put his shipping container outside his house, and he's a young guy, and he kept her like, I want to say several weeks before she got away. But you know, Elizabeth Smart, she escaped her captives after a few months.
Okay, y'all, the first time I heard this song, it broke my heart. It reminded me that God is always there watching out. And
you can't play it.
I'm not going to play it. They can go and look it up themselves. It's Lauren Daigle, Daigle, Rescue. Go listen to that song and think about all the people that are missing.
If I
really
play
is
it, I end up getting a copyright strike. That's why I won't play it. But, you know, even though they're saying these two cases are not connected, it is just so weird. 90-something miles apart, both vehicles wrecked. You know, if you go back and look at the cases, there's tons of suspected. They suspected that in the second girl that she supposedly maybe was into drugs, and as this may be in some to do with some drug situation, but all of her credit cards and everything was in the car. And usually every drug addict I know that does any crime takes these to do something with them, you know, sell them or trade them for drugs or something. And the first one, she took her cell phone and her credit cards, but left everything else in the car. And the first one did sound like, by putting her, taking her pictures off the wall and you know, putting everything in boxes, did sound like maybe she intended to maybe do something to herself later on when she got to wherever she was going. But the fact remains, what happened to her in those 19 minutes before she had the chance to arrive anywhere? Did she just hitch a ride with somebody? Did she, you know, did somebody got her now? I mean, you know, that she's missing out there. it doesn't matter. And that's why I say you can go back and read about all the things she was involved in that got her up to this point. But it doesn't matter because none of that is really saying the cause of why she's missing. And she didn't have enough time to call somebody and say, come pick me up, because she was so far away from her where she lived. And her boyfriend, the one she was having problems with, they say he had an alibi. He was in a totally different city and would be impossible, to come down there and do something to her. So, but a lot of people think her father was kind of weird and kind of strange, but I didn't. Anything I read, I didn't see it.
Okay, there's a Marine that's been missing for 8 days. His name is Chad Segar, Segar.
Chad Sugar is what somebody said there.
Well,
Segar.
I think it's Segar.
Where is he missing from?
North Carolina.
Well, that base up in North Carolina where they had the girl murdered and the other Marine was found hanged or missing or murdered. Is it the same base? Because they got a serious problem up there. Does anybody know if it's the same base? It's like listening to the old time radio. Well, I hope I'm back now. Does anybody know if it's the same base that those others were missing from? Dana, has anybody said? That they know what base it is?
Somebody said it's in North Carolina. I can't remember.
Yeah, there's a couple of bases up there.
Been missing 8 days. Missing from North Carolina is all it says right now, so I don't know.
Okay.
He's an ex-Marine.
Oh, he's an ex-Marine?
There's no such thing as an ex-Marine.
No, I'm going to tell you, ask a Marine sometime. Are you an ex-Marine? And they'll get on to you.
He is a
There's
Marine.
no such thing as an ex-Marine. Everybody that went through boot camp as a Marine is a Marine, and they'll tell you that. They get upset about it. Yes, if you could push the like button, even though everything is messed up tonight, I appreciate it. And if you've watched this later on, I would appreciate it if you subscribe. We are gaining subscribers slowly but surely. That's all I care
Patricia
about.
said that he's got some mental issues.
Well, I'm not worried about if they do have mental. I mean, it's great to know that. But if somebody sees him or somebody sees him in a car or I'll try to find a poster for him.
Pisgah National Forest.
And try to.
We can look into that tomorrow night.
I'll try to pick out a poster tomorrow for him, and we'll highlight it. Pisgah National Forest is what he's supposedly in. Well, a lot of people go to the forest or go to the woods trying to find peace, find some type of calmness. Maybe that's what he'll do and not try to hurt himself. Is Sarge here tonight? Retired Sarge?
Not yet. I
was hoping to find out how her mother's
doing.
That's
what I asked. Yep.
J.C. Dunham, she was
Duggard. I remember that.
11, abducted, found when she's 20, right?
That's the one that had the babies in the backyard.
Yeah,
That's
I think
it.
that was
that
the
is.
one that
Y'all
had
are right.
the babies. You're right.
So see, there's always hope.
There's hope, but
I don't know if some of y'all read on there where there was a man came into our store the other day and his wife is a nurse at a hospital and she's taking care of a 14-year-old girl that escaped from the sex traffickers. And she told the nurse, she said they want to get black and brown girls and boys because their bodies mature faster than white kids, I guess, or Asian kids. I don't know.
Wow.
But that's what they're trying to do is and the younger they get them, the better they like it.
And, I think a lot of people are confused about what sex trafficking or trafficking kids are. they, you know, a lot of times, like I said, we've worked cases that where we've gone into a house and you find locks on the doors from the outside of the bedrooms. My wife used to own a company that got foreclosed houses ready to go back on the market. And they've even found houses that had the locks on the outside of the doors, padlocks and push locks on the outside of the doors. So, you know, just, you don't have to be confined in a cage or confined even in locked bedrooms to be trafficked. You could be free. These people could be free to go to work without supervision, to come back home, to go out to eat without supervision. But how they trap them is by getting them addicted to drugs, or if they're like foreign workers, like I've had experience with, they take their passports and they basically threaten them and say, you go to the police about this and your family is going to be hurt in Russia or Ecuador or Jamaica or wherever they're from. Your family's going to suffer. We're going to do something to your family. So that, I mean, they can get on top of them. And you know what, saying the type of people that we had experience with, they were paying money to live in apartments with like 15 people. They were taking $2 an hour legally out of their check. So one group I remember had 450 people in that group, and they were charging $2 an hour for them to find them work. So that's $900 an hour. And it was all legal. Where they got in trouble was, and where they could find out you were trafficked is, we had two girls come to us, and we notified the State Department about it. They were from Russia, I think. And where these people, the guys came to them and said, you know, get ready, get your stuff, we'll leave in an hour. And they took their passports. And when they take their passports, they committed human trafficking, basically, because they are holding something for ransom and forcing them to move to a different location to work. And it doesn't have to be in the sex trade. It could be in the employment trade, because you think about that. A girl that's out making $1,000 an hour in the sex trade, or $100 an hour in the sex trade, say, she's going to have to work a lot of hours to get them that much money. But if you have 400 people working, 450 people working at these souvenir shops, and you're taking $2 an hour out of their paycheck, they're making $900 an hour, and they don't have to do anything. They don't have to watch over the girls and have these pimps. They don't have to do anything. They'll do that too. But this is a legal way. I mean, they can actually take $2 an hour out of their check, and they do it. And that's going on today, right now as we speak. And up and down the coast of Florida, and anywhere there is actually souvenir shops or beachfronts. So you're talking about both sides of the East Coast, West Coast, and all the way up. Next time, I challenge you this. Next time you're on vacation, go in these souvenir shops and just stand around near the register or where people are working and see if you can pick up the accents. And you might ask them. They'll talk to you and say, hey, where are you from? I noticed the accent. And they'll say Russia or Ecuador or Jamaica. A lot of the deep, dark black girls from Jamaica. I mean, as you can tell, I'm not criticizing them. Beautiful girls. And, you know, there'll be people from Jamaica, Russia, a lot of the other, and what they do, they entice them to come over here because of they'll put articles in magazines. I've seen one of these magazines. They had a curved beachfront with a palm tree hanging over it, and say, you know, make tons of money, send it back to your family. You know, we'll supply housing, meals, everything. And when they get in here, they charge them for it. They take it out of their paycheck. And we had actually officers that ended up marrying some of these Russian girls, you know, and got them out of that business, but they took them in. They actually married. So it's a wicked, evil world. Yes, sir. And they got people that do not care about these people. They absolutely do not care. It's a paycheck. That's all it is. Yeah, and you know, listen, I have no problem with people coming to this country legally and working, and even the people that are here illegally but obeying the law. But here's the problem with that. If we allow them to come over here illegally, then they are having to pay a coyote to take them over here. Some of them paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to get them over here, and you don't have, you wonder if their health care, what type of health care they have, and these coyotes are smuggling drugs too. So I have no problem with the people that come over here to work legally, but I think we need to do it legally.
Okay, Irish wants to know, what do you do if you meet someone you think is trafficked?
Well, there are several organizations online that you can contact and say, the problem is with this, unless you are willing to take that person with you right then, not carry them to the police department, take them with you right then, let them escape completely, then I would just take note of this, where they're at, and contact like the police department, tell them, say, this is why. The problem is, if you could very well endanger you, yourself, and your family, because these people consider them a commodity. They don't consider them a human being. So if you try to get them out of that situation right there, right then, I highly would advise not to do that, because you might find yourself shot or killed, because these people are a commodity. You can notify like the FBI. You can notify INS if that's an issue over there. You can notify the local police, but a lot of time the local police, unless they have an investigator on duty that has dealt with this stuff all the time, might not. They may not. They got so much other stuff going right now with the current crime situation that, unless you are familiar with it, what they're doing, there's a whole bunch of other people. I mean, we have in every city just about, there's somebody that handles that type of situation. U.S. Customs does, ICE does, Border Patrol does. Border Patrol works a lot of stuff besides just illegally aliens. I mean, they work a lot of that stuff. But U.S. Customs does that. State Department does that. The federal authorities too, for sure. But I personally, I don't recommend you trying to interfere. I recommend you getting tag numbers, secretly getting a tag number, or finding out, talking to them in general. But you don't want to appear to try to rescue them without the police being involved, because you could really get yourself hurt.
Can I tell you, I was in Pensacola, Florida, and I was going somewhere, and I noticed a girl walking down the road, and I just felt the Spirit of God told me to turn around and go get her. So I did. And I asked her, I said, where are you walking from? And she pointed back, when she got in my vehicle, she pointed back to a guy that was in the woods on his truck, standing on the back of his truck. And she said, we were going out on a date, and it's our first date, and he was taking me down to the woods to do some mudding. And I told her, my spirit immediately said, don't go back with that guy. I told her, I said, any man that would take you into the woods on a first date, you need to get the heck away from him. I dropped her off at the gas station where there was a record to pull them out, but I told her, I said, you need to call a friend and go home.
Yeah, you wouldn't think nothing about going mudding, though, if you went to high school up in Tennessee somewhere, some of our friends, and they're like, hey, let's go mudding tonight. I mean, that's nothing, but I think I know what she's talking about, though. Yeah, so many suicides, murders, family members is so necessary to be happy.
Did y'all see the report about the people in nursing homes out on the street with their signs? They were in their wheelchairs and they were holding up signs that say, we would rather die of COVID than loneliness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, I think a lot too, you know, back about my career and all that stuff that went on, and how, you know, that I think about the two girls that came in and told us about the guys taking their passports. And during that period of time, this happened, and this was a mess up big time in our police department that happened. We were interviewing these girls back in the back, and the State Department was back there interviewing them, and they had tried to call a friend to come get them. But at the same time, two guys came that were their handlers that we didn't know about it, and they came up front and said, hey, we're here to pick up our friends. I understand the police had talking to them, and somebody up there let them in. They walked right back there and saw them with us, and these girls freaked out. And they, you know, we don't know, we don't want to do nothing. Then it was almost impossible to get them to tell us anything because they felt like, hey, we just left your handlers in there. But at least we did this. We took those guys into custody because they couldn't. One of them had a passport that was expired. We sent him to ICE. They deported him. The other one, I think we ended up getting arrested because he ended up being one of the head guys in all of this. But, you know, we had to be very, very careful with that situation. We ended up letting them go back because they were so scared of what they could do to their family over there in Russia. You know, that's the thing. They felt like they could just make a phone call and say, hey, these guys double-crossed us. They went to the police. And another thing is, too, you know, in Russia, what they were saying was the police are all crooked. You know, the police are taking payoffs with these people. The police are in on it. So it was hard for these people to come to us and try to talk to us because they felt like the police were crooked. You know, the police were just as guilty as the people that were handling them. So we got, actually, there was a crew of a white guy that was in the construction that was doing the same thing with Hispanics, but he had illegal Hispanics, and he had about 400 of them, and he was taking $1.50 from them. He was housing them, to get this. You know, these little storage sheds you buy, putting your lawnmower in and stuff out there, they're like 8 by 8 or 10 by 8. He was buying those and renting these out to these Mexicans to live inside these things. It was crazy. And how we got him, how the feds got involved and got him, he had a money sending place where the people would come in, they send just under the limit to report to the IRS money shipped back to Mexico. You have a mandatory reporting on $10,000. So they would send $9,990 over to Mexico. And they found out he was sending $4 million. I think it was like either $400,000 or $4 million a month. It was an enormous amount of money. And the way they caught him was they started putting a wire, I guess some surveillance type equipment on this, and they got him for money laundering. But that just goes to show you that, you know, these people would do anything to make money. And they have no, in my opinion, a human trafficker has no soul. They really don't have a soul. They don't consider the police, is a real threat, you know, and they don't, you know, they will do this stuff because the regular police, street police, the regular guys on the street out there, they're busy handling everything. We even had a situation where we had guys dressed up as cops robbing these Mexicans after they got off work on Friday. they would pull them over, blue light, everything, get them out and rob them, take all their money, and these people wouldn't call us because they were afraid of getting deported. So finally, they robbed a couple of them that didn't care. They contacted us. We said, hey, we're not going to deport you. You tell us what these guys look like, what they're driving and everything. We set up surveillance on them. And I think after a couple of weeks, we actually caught them in the act of trying to rob somebody. So, you know, those guys ain't no telling how much money they got because they were posing as police and they were taking advantage of minorities that had a general fear of being deported. Yeah, and you know, if you're illegal and you get caught for the felony in the United States now, you will actually do time before you're deported. So at least they are doing that. If they get caught running drugs over here, then you know, I worked so many cases, drug cases, that I talked to a guy one time, and he said that what they would do is all your money runs west, all your drugs run east. So they would buy cars, get cars up in Texas. They would take the batteries out of them, put cocaine in a false compartment in a false battery, put the battery like that runs the car in the trunk, and then they would have a car that would follow them and watch them. If they got pulled over, they just truck on by. But I've got several guys that are good friends of mine that know all these tricks, and they work the interstate interdiction, and they bust them left and right. If you travel I-10, that's a main corridor, you go out through Mississippi, Harrison County, huge anti-drug task force out there. They sit on the interstate, and you'll see these guys parked in the medians. That's what they're doing. They're watching for these people to try to get traffickers coming east and west. And that's what they say. Money goes west and drugs go east. And now I'll tell you something else too. If you ever see a truck like a pickup truck under an overpass, filling his tank, spare tank, or look like filling his tank up with gas, I would go ahead and call the police on that guy and say, hey, this may sound weird, but I heard one time by this retired cop that they may be smuggling drugs in their gas tank. That's exactly what they do. They put drugs in their gas tank. They carry some extra gas in the back with them. They drive until they get low on gas. Sometimes they run out. And they have to fill their tank up with expired tanks until they can get somewhere and fill up with gas. They're not just unlucky. They're guilty too. Not everybody, but a lot.
Okay. For those of you that want some of my recipes, you go ahead and email the missing live stream, because I check it every day too. And if it says recipe in the subject line, I will look at it and I will send you what you asked for.
Yes, some of these Hispanics are some of the nicest people. But, you know, all I ask is there's legal ways to cross the border and there's legal ways to get in line to do it. And I'm saying let's figure out a way for that to happen, not just cross the border to do it.
Oh gosh. Felicia said she heard they're inserting drugs in cattle trucks to get them across the border.
I wouldn't doubt anything.
No.
I used to get these reports out of El Paso, Texas, and every week they would give me all the drug seizures that they seized and everything. And when I saw some of the most horrific things were they were taking babies
Yes.
that had been deceased, cutting them open, putting cocaine in them, closing them back up and letting people ride on airplanes with them. I mean, you wonder why the baby never cries, you know, but they actually caught that. But they would take these, and I mentioned this before, and dogs have actually alerted on them. They take the concrete things that you pull up to in the parking lot, put a tube in it full of cocaine, and dogs will actually hit on that. But I've seen them do everything. You know, the swallowing of the drugs is this thing. It still happens. That still happens. And now if they think that you may be smuggling drugs, they will take you and put you in a chair. at their port there that is an x-ray machine. It x-rays the whole body in the chair and find out if you have it in there. Because if you do, they need to take you to a hospital and monitor that, because if one of those breaks, dead right then. You know, and you imagine all the stomach acids and everything that you have in there. I've seen everything, every report, and watched all kinds of stuff about how they smuggle it. And it's amazing. If you can think about doing it, they can figure out a way to do it. And they have secret compartments in cars, you know, where you have to turn your blinker on to the left, turn your windshield wipers on, pull out this switch over here, and then flip one over here, and then the apartment will open. It's not just one little thing.
Yeah.
What is that? I Love Lab said.
Her dad passed in New Hampshire, and several of his roomies had no family.
Oh, wow. Well, you know, the main thing I'm concerned with on this is, you know, here's the way I feel about it. We currently live in a place here, a community, that is probably more Hispanics than there are whites, because they have gigantic chicken plants here that employ all of them. Now, do I believe every one of them is legal? No. But am I running out to call INS if I think that? No, I'm not. But if one of them, and they've had several, been involved in child pornography, child rape, you know, thefts, do I believe those guys need to go back to Mexico? Absolutely. We do not need that type of people in our society. You know, am I going out calling INS and say, hey, I got this down here at the road, what's going on? No, I'm not. And I heard about something pretty big, a pretty large, you know, something involved the other day, and I just pass it on to somebody, you know, in the law enforcement. One thing I know something's going on, because I constantly see these 3 or 4 Hispanics driving through town in $300,000 Lamborghinis. Now, not to say that they're not doctors and lawyers and all that, but they're kids that are driving them. So I don't know, you know, maybe they're legit. I don't know. I'm not saying they're illegal, but it's something weird about it. I mean, I've seen that twice in 1 week. A young Hispanic girl's driving a $300,000 Lamborghini, and another one the next week's driving a Lotus, you know, through town.
MD Aspen says, I have a question. We're having our car shipped from west to east coast this week on a trucking company that specializes in transfers. Do you think the driver could pack drugs inside our car?
Well, they could, but not likely. The people that are dealing with that type of thing, they don't want to get into doing that with a paid thing. I really don't think so, because these guys that transport stuff, transport it in hidden compartments in the gas tank, in other places, they don't want, because the people that you hire to transport your car are DOT certified. They have to be. If you have a commercial business by car, you have to be DOT certified. So they are subject to be stopped by these DOT guys, and their trucks will be checked for proper brakes. You know, if there's safety, they may even run a dog around your car. And if they do not want to lose their business by taking a chance like that. So I would highly doubt it.
Okay, Rapu, R-A-P-V-U-E, Rapu.
Yes.
I can't say your name, I'm sorry. He says that he was trafficked, but not for sex, but for work.
Yeah,
and, you know, that's true.
saying.
Remember that book? David Baldacci writes a lot of really good books, and I think some of them are closer to true life. And he wrote one about, wasn't it The Forgotten or Unforgotten?
Yeah, something like that.
It was something about either The Forgotten or Unforgotten, and it was set on between Pensacola, Mobile, and Destin, Florida, where they were bringing people in, and they would put either a red shirt on them, a green shirt on them, or a yellow shirt on them, I think it was. and those people went to different areas to do whatever their shirt represented.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying too about the work traffic. You know, if you have somebody that is making $10 an hour somewhere and you're taking $2 an hour because you helped them get a job, that to me is a form of trafficking. You know, you're benefiting from their work without working yourself. And I think, yes. Yeah, I agree. The construction industry. Now, I know, but here's the thing. I have a relative that owns a huge construction company, and they do what they call E-Verify. They have to stay in business. He's honest. They run E-Verify on all their employees. So that's just the government way, and that's what every business is supposed to do that. They're supposed to run E-Verify on everybody. But if a guy's hiring a bunch of these guys and he's paying them cash, you know, they'll work a little cheaper for cash, so he pays them cash. He's not running E-Verify on them, I can guarantee you. But my cousin does. He runs E-Verify, and all of his people are legally here. You know, and some of these guys have worked for him over the years and even became U.S. citizens in that period of time. Oh, Israel too? Wow. Yeah, what'd you say? Meth and heroin are what? Meth is rampant where
Russell says it's not necessary. I guess it's
Florida.
not.
Yes, I agree with that.
Russell, it's not necessary to E-Verify in North Carolina?
Really?
Is that what you're saying?
It's not the law to E-Verify? I thought if you hired them legit, you had to E-Verify. That's something. Alabama, you do. You have to, if you're going to pay them and take money out for taxes and stuff, you got to E-Verify.
No, he says no.
Wow. Well, you're going to have any amount of people. You know, I'll tell you this. After the hurricanes happens, you're going to get an influx of that type of construction people that follow disasters. And I was telling her, we were down at the Gulf Coast this last couple of days, and you see these big black trucks that have the thing that picks up stuff and puts it in the back of it. If you go to any hurricane, I don't care where it is, South Florida, Texas, within 2 or 3 days, those trucks are going to be there. And one of the area codes on the side of it was Florida. It was somewhere down in Central Florida, 772, where that's at. Yeah, I think that that a lot of that stuff's done everywhere. But, you know, and just like the girl that's missing, what the heck? Did that show up on my screen?
What?
Okay, well, I guess not. Maybe did. Just like the girl that's missing down there, the Cassie girl down in Florida, they were several groups of Hispanics working in the place, and the investigator said the reason why we couldn't get cooperation from these people is because we feel like most of them were illegal and they didn't want to talk, they didn't trust or want to talk to the police. And, you know, you got to understand, if you're one of the Russians, Jamaicans, Chinese even, you'll find that they don't trust law enforcement. And I think I told y'all the other day about this, didn't I? Did you know that if a Chinese student, some of you, if you've heard it before, that's fine, but a Chinese student over here from China going to school can legally buy a firearm,
okay, wait,
rifle, shotgun, even a pistol for sporting if they have a fishing license?
Okay, wait. Y'all, did you hear what he said? A Chinese person from China.
Yeah, Chinese, well, a Chinese student.
A Chinese student.
From China. Now, the reason I say a Chinese person from China, because there's people in the United States that are Chinese that are not from China. They live here, born here. That's what I mean. Silly. But they can legally buy a shotgun, AR-15, any type of pistol, because they have a fishing license, and that's a loop. That is a loop in the law, or what do they call it? A hole in the law, or a loop.
Oh, I think it's a loop in the law. No, that doesn't sound right.
Loop. What is it when you say you got a loophole in the law? Maybe.
Yeah, it's a loophole.
Yeah. And I let my coffee get cold.
He doesn't like cold coffee. I can drink it with ice in it.
Don't like it cold.
It's good.
No, I like to have a cup of coffee in the morning and one at night. It's crazy, but it's just what it is. You work out. Wait a minute, Denise. So glad you work ICU during that time.
I love lab work to ICU during that time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's loopholes, Amy said.
Loopholes, yeah, there you go.
And CJ said loopholes. And Lori said legal loopholes.
Legal loopholes. But it is a legal loophole. In fact, I had a conversation with ATF recently where I said, this has got to be changed. This cannot we can't do that. We can't allow people that are here. You know what I mean? I just have a real problem with that. Somebody could come over here from Iran and go to school that doesn't even like our government and then get...
It happened in Pensacola, Florida.
Right. The guy down in Pensacola that shot up everything legally had a firearm, but he was Iranian or Middle Eastern or had ties to Al-Qaeda. So, you know what I mean? That's just crazy. To me, that's crazy. But I'm not going to do anything, call anybody until after the election. It's crazy. Unlike my wife, she'll call the White House 2 or 3 times a day.
I do not call them 2 or 3 times a day.
Well, in the past, you have
but
called
I have called them.
Of times.
Yes, I do. I believe in being involved. I'm a born-again Christian that doesn't mind getting involved.
Yes, you do. Okay, well, I'm sorry again for the glitches and what happened tonight. I'll go ahead and say it again.
Oh, you're driving me crazy.
I do not care. And tomorrow, hopefully, we'll be better suited to get into stuff. If you've got somebody you want me to look into, please send me an email at the bottom right there. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We are trying to get 5,000 members by the end of the year if possible. That is the best way to support this channel, is to subscribe and give me a like. That would be super too. They actually pay attention to that. The algorithms do. And I will try to get on the ball. We are still following the Morphew case. I'm checking it every day to see if something's coming out. I really honestly believe that something is going to happen in the next I wouldn't be surprised if something major doesn't happen in the next 6 weeks. I just got this feeling from everything, the scuttlebutt you're hearing, I just got a feeling something's going to develop within the next 6 weeks. I've said this before, but I really feel it this time. Okay, so my wife has demanded that I play some of my dog stuff going out, so I will do that. And
okay, I maybe just made some people mad, but to me, I don't think that if you're not a citizen in the United States of America, you're not a citizen. You should not own land.
Well, I don't know that that's true. I mean, I don't have a problem with people from Australia owning land over here or people like that. I just don't want like our people that don't want democracy to own land, like China come over here and buy up all of our national park or next to our national parks and decide they went something. We don't always agree on everything. You know?
Really?
Not always, anyway.
I thought we did.
Agree on everything?
Yeah. I thought you always agree with everything I say.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to remember something.
Boots on the ground in Colorado, Beach Bum said.
Boots on the ground?
Boots on the ground.
Oh, really? What do you mean, boots on the ground? I mean, they're doing some stuff out there now, or? I will look it up. I will find out for sure.
Y'all, I see y'all talking about taking care of your parents. Thomas's dad lived with us for 25 years. The first part of the 25 years, he was our babysitter with our children. And the second part, our children were our babysitters for him. And I had the best father-in-law anybody could have. I got 2 for the price of 1. He was my honeydew. I had to be careful what I said I wanted built, or if I wanted anything, he was right there. In fact, Tommy and I adopted a little boy, and the mother changed her mind and took him back. And my father-in-law wrote me a check for $10,000 to give the girl. And I had to tear it up and tell him we couldn't do that. My father-in-law was the best. Y'all will not regret taking care of your parents.
No, you won't. Well, I'll tell you a little short funny that happened. Back when I was in patrol before I went to narcotics, we used to have spring break where we were at, and the spring breaks would be horrendous. They would be crazy.
Are you going to tell that one about you and Keith and me?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was before I became a police officer.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'll tell you. Before I became a police officer, we were in Panama City. Excuse me. And I was probably 16, 17. My best friend that just passed away a couple years ago were with us. And one of my other best friends were there. And we were walking down the beach at night. And, of course, we were out there looking around for girls and everything. And we walked up, and there was a bunch of clothes on the beach. And we looked out into the surf, and there was a girl and guy out there in the surf skinny dipping. Well, my best friend Keith looks at me, and I knew exactly what he was going to do. We grabbed up their clothes. We took off running, screaming, holding them above our head. They were screaming at us to stop, come back, give them their clothes. We ran about a mile down the beach. We were in great shape back then. We ran around a mile down the beach, and no, we just didn't leave their clothes. We buried them right up there. I don't know how they got out of the water without any clothes on. I don't know how they got into their car, or if their keys was in their pocket. We didn't even look. We just took their clothes, ran down the beach, buried them. Thought it was the funniest thing we ever seen. And at the time, it was really funny, but it was probably mean. It was probably mean, too. But one night on patrol, we were during spring break. It was packed, calls, back to back, boom, 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 calls. And we had we came across people underage possession or something in the parking lot. But anyway, it ended up being a foot chase. We chased 2 guys into this condo. We went through the back door, and of course, the door shut. The wind, you can't hold these doors open. If the doors are open in the front and back, one of them's going to close. So the back door closed on us. We got about 20 feet in there, and I grabbed one guy, and the other guy grabbed the other guy, and he looks over at me, and the room is so thick with marijuana smoke. It was so thick that both of us got a contact high just being in the room with it. We were laughing. By the time we come out there, we were just giggling, laughing. I called my sergeant at the time. I said, hey, no drug test for us for the next 30 days because we have just got a contact high from this thing. And so they noted at us that they had to fill out a report basically to make sure that we wasn't random drug tested, because our department had a random drug test. They just call you in and say, hey, you and you are getting drug tested today. You didn't have no chance to say, but you could be random drug tested at any time. And so
nude beach, how refreshing. It wasn't a nude beach.
It was a nude beach after we got through with it.
Golly.
Yeah, we kind, but we were just three boys that just loved it. We never did anything illegal as far as like serious. When we drank, we did stuff like that, but we didn't it wasn't like we were out vandalizing anything or anything, but we just did crazy stuff like that. But anyway, I'm gonna play a little bit on my dog stuff as we go out, and we do appreciate you coming tonight. Always appreciate it. Share with your friends if you haven't. Last time you shared with your friends, I had 600 subscribers in 3 days. 3 days. I was blown away. And email me if you got something I need to cover, and we will keep a close eye out for what's going on with the Murphy case, but we always want to bring to light other people's stuff. And I'm not through with the Indians. I know we just did a short thing the other night. I'm not through with that. I do want to go back to that and discuss more about that. And, it's not only in Oklahoma and Nebraska and in Utah, Colorado, where these reservations are, in Arizona. It's also the Indians, the Eskimos up in Alaska. And it's sad in what is going on even in Canada. So it's sad that, the main thing with those guys they don't have the police to handle it. They got tribal police, but there's not enough. They cover like Alaska. I told you about my friend, Alaskan state trooper. He's not up there anymore, but he called me one night and said, "Whoops, I got a domestic." And I said, "Well, I'll let you go." He said, "I won't be up there till tomorrow." I said, "What do you mean a domestic? It'll be tomorrow." He said, "It's me and another guy in the state about the size state of Tennessee." He said, "I got to fly up there tomorrow and see what the problem was." Fly up for a domestic. That was really, really strange. But anyway, thank you so much for coming by. God bless you. Stay well. Our medical test came out flying colors. Great news. Just really good. I worried for nothing. And
he always
do. But that's just me. So I'm going to send us out with my pups. And
we got to get a new video.
I'll put one together. It's just I've been gone. Oops, I'm froze up again.
Oh, no.
Let me see. Okay.
Ready?
He's just not as good at it.
Ready? Good girl, man. Good. Ready?
Gotta get down.
Down. You ready?